Friends, today we're talking about the 35th gift, and we are in the portion of Naso. And the portion of Naso, the topic today is peace. Peace, or as we call it in Hebrew, shalom. And we soon going to understand that we're going to have to use the word shalom because peace does not represent the Jewish view, the Jewish idea of what peace is. In 2009, 9th of October, President Obama gave the following speech. I'm receiving this award with great humility, and he's talking about the great aspirations of the humankind. And we know that we're not bound to our fate, but our actions change reality, and we can bend history towards justice. Oh boy, did he bend history, President Obama. He bended history so much, but not towards justice, because 1 year later, in 2010, the Arab Spring broke and all hell got loose, and there was a huge problem. What did he receive a Nobel Prize for? Taking the Middle East and turning it into a chaotic state. The Arab Spring dismantled at least six countries. There's no borders between them. There's Islamic Caliphate that's breathing on the neck of all the countries that started with the Sykes-Picot Agreement, and today everything is crumbling down. Maybe President Barack Obama, did not understand what peace is, and we're going to go on a voyage, on a journey now, to understand the greatest gift that Judaism can give humanity, and that is the concept of shalom. Shalom, as we know in Hebrew, comes from the root shalem. Shalem means wholesome, something that is complete. And we understand that the shalom, according to Judaism, starts from within. A person has to have peace within himself. He needs to feel whole. He needs to feel that he is balanced. And we understand that there are three stages, according to the prophets, regarding the concept of peace. At first, in the book of Leviticus, in chapter 26, it says there, and I shall grant peace in the land, and there will not be war that will pass through your land. Obviously, there's war around you, but in your country, there will not be war. That's one of the blessings that God gives the people of Israel if they behave accordingly. So this peace is a peace and tranquility within a country, but there's still a state of war around them. That is the first stage. The second stage, the famous quote from Isaiah, and there I should make your swords into plows, and I should no country or no nation should lift up a sword against his fellow nation, and there should be no more war in the world. Obviously, Isaiah chapter 2, very famous verses. That's the second stage, a utopian type of understanding or a vision. Okay, but this is the second stage. No war throughout the world. Although in the recorded history of 4,000 years, 300 years of the recorded history, there was tranquility and peace in the world. But the rest of the time, there was some kind of a conflict in a geographic place on this planet. So in order to get to that stage when there's no war, complete and total tranquility throughout the world as a permanent status, that's already very utopian. But that's the second stage, and that's what we're striving towards in terms of the book of Isaiah. Isaiah 11, there is even a more radical notion of peace. And there, nature changes. Lamb should lie with a tiger or a leopard, and there the description is of a cow that's dwelling with a bear. A change of nature. When did you ever see that, a leopard and a goat or a calf with a lion lying down together and not eating each other up? This is a utopian type of state, how should I say, aspiration, but it changes nature. So how can the prophets give us such a high ideal? We know that for 4,000 years people are eating each other up, and Isaiah is giving us such a revelation that one day nature is going to change and there will be no more conflict, even amongst natural creatures. We must understand that peace, according to Judaism, from the word shalom, which means wholeness or wholesome, starts from within a person. If he's balanced, then he balances his family, he balances his nation, and that resonates, that has a radiant nature to it throughout the world. And our portion, the portion of Naso, which means literally to lift up the people of Israel, has a recipe for that. And the recipe is not really in the writing, but the connection between different laws that are in this week's portion. At first they seem very, very odd to each other. But Rabbi Levi ben Gershom from the 13th century says there's a common denominator between a whole line of laws in our portion. What are those laws? The first one is to bring a sacrifice. If someone stole from someone, he needs to return the object, and also he needs to repent for the fact that he shook the world order because he stole from someone, and that really goes against everything that a country believes in. There's going to be chaos in the country if everybody steals from each other. So therefore he has to repent and bring his sacrifice. In Hebrew it's called Asham Gzelot. The second one is the promiscuous woman that went and her husband is suspecting that she is cheating on him. And there's a certain ceremony that she has to go through and clear her name, and that's all in this week's portion. The third one is a Nazirite. Nazirite is an individual that practices abstinent from wine, from becoming closer to a dead person or to impurities. And there's all the laws of a Nazir, how we call it in Hebrew, in the portion. What's the connection between these three laws that God gives us in the portion? Comes Rabbi Levi, the son of Gershom, in the 13th century, and says as follows. Here is the recipe. Stealing shakes the nation's order, and it turns everything into chaos. And there's no peace in the country. So therefore, the ultimate goal is that there should be tranquility, there should be law and order and peace in the country. People should feel wholesome, should feel whole where they live, in the country that they live in. So there's no breaking and entry, there's no stealing, there's no robbing. The second one is peace amongst the family. Woman suspected cheating, husband, you have to get together, you have to create peace within the home with a certain ceremony that's described in the Bible. And the third one is a Nazirite. When a person becomes a Nazirite, he becomes abstinent from wine and from other activities which he was used to doing. It's because he went too far. He feels in himself, says Rabbi Levi, that his life is not balanced. Too much wine to drink, too much dealing with women, too much dealing with impurities, and therefore he needs to step aside and fix himself. He needs to feel whole again. He needs to feel that his life is balanced. And when his life is balanced, and that's the connection, then he can have peace at home. And when there's peace at home, there's peace in the nation. So they first draw the ultimate goal, peace in the nation, law and order. How do you achieve that? Let me show you. Peace within the home, peace within yourself. So there's the recipe. How far is that from the notion of the Nobel Prize winner of achieving a certain global order that everybody should get along with everybody? It's a nice idea, but peace starts from within an individual. And if he's whole, then he can have peace within his home, nation, and then the world. But the notion also of peace needs more clarity, because we think that peace is a written contract. It's a certain arbitration, it's a certain compromise between two individuals or within yourself. The opposite is true according to Judaism. There's a song by John Lennon that says, imagine all the people, there's no borders, there's no different people, everybody, and the world will be as one. Judaism does not subscribe to the world shall be as one, because the world shall be as one is about human rights. Everybody has rights, everybody just get along. And you shouldn't want to be confined to your own border, to have your own nationality, to have your own aspirations. Judaism says the opposite. When a person knows who he is, and not what his right is in this world, or what his obligation is in this world, then he starts to understand what his obligations are towards his family, his wife, and then what his obligations towards his nation. And he heightens the concept of nationality and the obligation and the contribution that he has to have towards his nation. And when that is so, and the nation feels whole, because he feels whole within his family and within himself, then he wants to bring forward his uniqueness towards the rest of the world, not because he's better than them, but because he's different than them. And he feels good about him being different. And when you feel good about being different, then you feel whole. And then the world, each one to his own, each one with his own uniqueness, different but unique. Then shalom and peace can come to this world. And that is very different than a Nobel Prize winner of just trying to take people that are trying to eat each other up and say, okay, let's make peace. The opposite. Each one should look inside himself, develop his own qualities, his own obligations, his own uniqueness, his own nationality, and understand that there's a part in this world for every single individual or nation. A person that can echo and voice that should win the Nobel Prize. And you know who else should win the Nobel Prize? A person that has peace and shalom at his home or in his home. A person that can manage and achieve that should really be the Nobel Prize winner.